What is up, guys? I can't believe it. I'm going to be reviewing what is currently the final installment of Jak and Daxter, which is The Lost Frontier. And this was for the PSP. You know, the first time I saw this game, it was actually, I was going to say E3, but the first time, the true first time, was actually some leaked footage. There's leaked footage of two cutscenes in the game. And in both of them, Jak's voice is played by Michael Irwin. And he played the voice for the original Jak in the PlayStation 2 titles. And that was pretty much the first time I saw it. And, you know, it wasn't even a real scene. It looked more like, you know, it was still in development. There was no color in it either. Or any sounds except for the voices. And then the next time I saw it, it was a trailer at E3, which kind of disappointed me because it was made by High Impact. I didn't get to see much of the gameplay either. However, I did see a level at E3. There was a demo, and it looked pretty good, and it looks pretty promising. Except for the person that played it really sucked. Seriously, damn. Anyways, I have to talk about the story. So, in this game, Jak, Kira, and Daxter are venturing to the absolute edge of the world because there's a brink. That's right, because a huge chunk of the earth was not finished being made. So instead, there's like this mist around. There's no land or water or anything. It's just like this fog and mist down below. And what's going on is that there's an eco shortage. And the eco shortage is causing a lot of storms, or eco storms, I guess. And it's destroying the world. So unless there's a new source of eco, the world's going to keep destroying itself. And you're attacked later on by eco-pirates, and you crash land onto the island, on Brink Island. And then you find an artifact called the Eco Seeker, and it can find new sources of eco, but it's broken. Now I'm going to talk about some of the problems with the story, starting with the consistency. So for the first cutscene, the pirates are called eco-pirates, because of course they're stealing eco, obviously, right? But then for the rest of the game, they're called sky pirates. It never makes sense. Why couldn't they just fix it and just say sky pirates in the first cutscene? No. It's a small little thing, but still. Another thing is that there's a person that you'll meet who's called the Chancellor. However, later on into the game, Jak calls him by his name, Ruskin, which he never said his name was. The Chancellor never gives away his name, but Jak knows it. Consistency. And another problem, really big problem, is that Jak can't turn into Dark Jak or Light Jak because eco is too unstable. But Daxter turns into Dark Daxter, and the Europans turn into these creatures. To these monsters who are infested with dark eco. Not only that, but you're also fighting a lot of other eco monsters. They're like mutants. So pretty much, in a nutshell, everybody but Jak can use their dark eco powers. And I think, and this, I'm going to tie this in with the gameplay, because the gameplay lacks a Dark Jak, which is really disappointing, but you do get eco powers. And some of these eco powers, Light Jak and Dark Jak were able to use, like being able to stop time or using a shield. And there's some new powers that you get as well, so you'll be able to raise chunks of the earth and use it as platforms, and you get this red little bomb. Like you throw it, it sticks to people, and if you shoot it, it blows up. I think I'm missing another one. I don't even know. Anyways, one thing that the gameplay focused on a lot was the planes. In the game, you're going to be able to use like this thing called a Hellcat, which is from the previous game, which is sort of like this hover car, but it can also fly, so it kind of serves like a jet or a plane. And the game really focused on the plane missions. Like, there's one half of the game which is regular platforming, combat, yada yada. But then there's another chunk of the game in which you're doing just pure plane missions. Like in the second act, halfway into the second act, it's all plane missions. And I think there's one like regular platforming mission, but it's not actually platforming. It's actually just combat. Anyways, so that was cool because you can upgrade your ship and, you know, get new weapons like a laser beam and missiles. But it got repetitive and really, really boring. Seriously. Like, when I get to that point in the game where I'm just doing a bunch of plane missions, I just stop. Like, really, it takes away from the replay value, which is such a shame because the platforming levels are actually pretty good. And now I'm going to get to that. So, the game, for the most part, when it comes to platforming, it works a bit like the PS2 games in the platforming department, but in terms of combat, it's a lot more different. And what I mean is that in the PlayStation 2 games, it was more focused on gunplay. Sure, yeah, you can punch and spin kick the enemies, but most of the time you're going to be using your guns and just simply shooting them. However, in The Lost Frontier, the guns have been nerfed almost like tenfold. You have to combine your attacks, so not only are you punching your enemies, but you're also shooting them, and you have to mix it together to create like combos. This is a pretty good idea up until the part where you realize that some of these enemies really take forever to kill, and it gets so boring and monotonous. You know, sometimes it can really be boring. And, you know, and for the beginning levels, it's not like that, but later on, you're going to be fighting these giant brutes who take so much damage, and it's not even funny. Like, it's not impossible, but it just feels dull and boring. And one thing that I do have a problem with is that when you're traveling to locations, you're not in a city and going to missions. Instead, you have a choice of, I believe, 5 different sections of the brink that you can explore, and you're exploring this using your plane. However, you know, in Far Drop, this is like the worst case of it. You're just going to be holding the X button, which is the boost button for the planes, and you're just holding the X button and you're doing nothing. That's it. Because the objective is a mile away, and there's nothing that's attacking you, or if there is, it can't really kill you at all. You just hold X and then just read a book or something. It's really bad. And you know, and that's another problem with the graphics. The environment sometimes feels empty, like you're walking for a long time. And there are points like that which suck. Now, by far, the worst aspect of Jak and Daxter, the Lost Frontier, was the Dark Daxter. These levels were horrible. I mean, I don't think it's hard. You know what? I think that might be exaggerating a little bit, but I definitely found it dull and boring. Pretty much Dark Daxter turns into this giant mutant creature. And every level, for some reason, has him sliding down a sewer pipe. Like, I guess that's the loading screen. And the actual level itself is like this top-down overhead view, and you're controlling Dark Daxter, and you're fighting these enemies who pose no threat to you whatsoever. And, you know, half the time you spend it in this frenzy mode, and it's pretty much like a tornado. Like, sort of like Taz, the Tasmanian Devil. How he can turn into a tornado like that, you can do that with Dark Daxter. And half the time when you're fighting enemies, you're just using that form. And you probably won't come out of it except when you're pushing buttons. And really, I just found this to be dull and boring. And, you know, none of the levels really made it new. Usually when in platformers, when you play in one level or another, there's usually something that's added to the gameplay to make it feel more varied. However, all these levels look the same. You're going down the same corridors. And it was so boring. Alright, now, I know I sound like I absolutely hate this game, but don't get me wrong. This game is an okay title. Like, I'm not sure if it's worth, you know, if you want to get into the series, don't get this game. I would much rather get the original 3 games. But it's an okay game itself, you know. Like, I definitely did enjoy myself when I first played this. So I'm not gonna I don't want to completely bash it because I still find this to be an okay game to play. And I still do play the game to this day, not really that much, but still. Anyways, I'm gonna leave you guys with a volcano level from The Lost Frontier. And next time I'm going to do one final video. And yeah, see you guys later. This is Puerto Rican Boy, and I'm out.
It's interesting and see who gets the seeker first.
Cave in! Run for it, Jak!
I would hurry up. Looks like I'm in the lead. Better pick up the pace.